Ladies, gentlemen, and destined ones of all ages, there are plenty of activities to do in Black Myth Wukong, and if you only follow the main path through the game, you will miss a gigantic chunk of what is actually available. And while some people want to just sort of get through it, others want to explore literally every corner. And then there is a lot of middle ground between that too. Let's say maybe you don't care about like a mind core and a chest, but maybe you do care about finding all of the weapons and armor that are available that you might miss by ignoring optional parts of the game, because, well, the weapons and armor have a marked impact on your playstyle in the game as a whole, opening up new builds or just giving you more power to have in general. And for those who haven't been there yet, you unlock the ability to actually upgrade armor sets late in Chapter 3 as well, so even an armor set that you missed from Chapter 1 could actually be used in the later stages of the game if you like the set bonus enough to keep it up to snuff. That said, today we're essentially going to dive into all of the missable, optional, or secret weapons and armor in the first 3 chapters of the game, with a slight caveat that while the final one is unlocked in Chapter 3, you can't craft it until Chapter 4, so we will have a little bit of a talk about where you can finish that off just a touch, just to explain actually how to make it. We'll go in game progression order, of course, so you should know when it's time for you to drop out if we go ahead of your progress. Starting off then, the first set of optional gear is all inside of the secret area for Chapter 1, the ancient Guanyin Temple. You access this zone by ringing the 3 large bells across Chapter 1. The first of these bells is behind the Wolf Guai boss, who is straight ahead from the outside the forest temple shrine. He is missable, and so is the bell behind him. The second bell is behind Guang Mo, who is a mandatory boss near the Snake Trail Temple Shrine. The third is behind the white-clad noble boss, who is also mandatory near the Marsh of White Mist Temple Shrine. Ring all 3 of these bells and you will be immediately teleported to this secret zone. To the right of the spawn here, on the far side of the courtyard from the shrine itself, are 3 chests around a tree. One of these contains the Guanyin Prayer Beads Gauntlet piece. These have pretty solid defense for their slot at this stage of the game, and they have the unique effect of increasing your maximum health and mana for a fair bit of time after you absorb Lingering Will. This means like the floating green splotches of will, the wisps of them, or the big blue chunks as well that give you spirit items. This doesn't come up often, it doesn't much affect bosses, of course, which is like the main part of the game, but it is a secret armor piece, so it's worth pointing out. The next entry, though, is a whole secret craftable set, and it comes from the same place, sort of, in the secret area of Chapter 1. The main thing that you can do is the boss that is located in the main chamber here, Elder Jin Chi. If you defeat him, you unlock the bronze armor set for crafting, which I personally used to carry pretty hard through most of Chapter 2. This set is based heavily around boosting Immobilize. It has solid defense, the 2-set bonus is bonus damage when crashing enemies out of Immobilize, the 4-piece bonus is massively reduced cooldown on Immobilize when crashing an enemy. Crashing is a weird term the game uses that is never properly explained, but basically it is dependent on how much damage you do to an enemy that is affected by Immobilize. If you trigger a crash, you will hear a very clear sound effect and the enemy will take bonus damage. If you trigger it with this set equipped, it will lower the 50-second cooldown of the spell down to around 30 seconds, which is a massive difference. And this makes it just extremely more potent for bosses, especially if you can get like a source of bonus mana to let you cast this as often as you can with this too. On top of that, the gloves themselves have a unique equip effect too, which is if you trigger the Evanescence skill tree upgrade, you skip immediately to the light combo finisher attack after applying Immobilize. Evanescence triggers if you time Immobilize directly before an enemy attack hits you, basically using it like a parry, and it extends the duration of Immobilize and increases the bonus damage the enemy takes during this period. So all in all, this is a really coherent early set that is entirely missable. The next one up then is the Long Wreath Staff. This epic staff is the earliest accessible 70 attack weapon, which is quite notable in itself, and it has the unique effect of boosting all pillar stance damage. Generally, I would say pillar stance is the least popular among players of the 3 stances, but it's still worth noting there. The 70 attack, though, honestly makes it worth it anyways, at least until you get access to some of the other weapons that are a touch further on, because this one is available quite early into Chapter 2. To unlock this properly, you first need the Luang Scales item. You get this in Chapter 2 from the Valley of Despair Temple Shrine here. The cave behind this will lead forward and around a big pit, but if you jump down into the pit, one of the walls in here is man-made rather than a rock wall. Depending on how you handle the mandatory boss fight right before this area, a boss fight will either automatically start when you drop into this pit, or you will need to initiate it by walking over to the cliff and using the interact prompt. This will summon a big ratty friend, the first Prince of the Flowing Sands, and if you make him do one of his bigger attacks into the non-rock wall, it will crack it open, which unlocks a new area you can enter after the fight. When you kill him, he also drops a key item that will be important later. It will come up again later, but it's worth mentioning if you've already killed him without breaking open this wall, you can do it yourself with any heavy attack spirit things such as the Wandering White Headbutt, which is my favorite early game option anyways. Once you're in here, all you have to do is pick up the Luang Scales. Then you need to bring these around to a couple of different locations. The first is from the outside the forest temple shrine Shrine back in Chapter 1. From here you want to head forwards and left to the edge of that portion of the area sticking in this cardinal direction, which is a pond with a waterfall behind a chu-bai. Now that you have the long scales, there will be an interact prompt in front of the waterfall to actually open it up. A secret boss will be inside of here that I'd rather not spoil for you because it's really cool if you haven't seen it, but go on in here and fight the boss to get half of the required materials for our staff. Then after that you want to go to the Rock Rest Flat Shrine in the Fright Cliffs region of Chapter 2. From here head to the right up the sandstone steps to find another waterfall just like the last one, but a bit more sandy. Open it up and same story here, a really cool secret boss inside. Defeat them and get the other half of the weapon's main crafting materials, but you still may be lacking a little bit of the refined iron sand part, but you will just start to get that from enemies later on in the chapter if you don't have enough yet, or it's in the shop of the secret area for Chapter 2, which we'll talk about later too. That said, our next weapon is arguably better for most people and available not too long after, and that is the Cloud Patterned Stone Staff. This has 60 attack but also has 30 defense inherently, which is great too, and the unique effect boosts the damage of charged smash heavy attacks. This synergizes super well with things like the sprint attack armor for charged heavy sprint hit and run builds, or things like the Cloud Strike set with the skill tree upgrade that lets you charge heavy attacks while invisible. To get this, you have to defeat a missable secret boss in Chapter 2, not too long past that waterfall, whose name is Shigan Dong. You summon him in the area for the Stone Vanguard mandatory boss by interacting with the big Buddha head after you have collected the 6 Buddha Eye collectibles previously within the level. The first one of these is right behind the Squall Hideout Shrine, the second and third are along the cave path that is left of the Squall Hideout Shrine, the fourth one is to the right of that same shrine up at the end of a wooden balcony up some stairs, the fifth is on the main forward path from the same shrine on the way to the Rockrest Flat Shrine. Then the final one is right beside the boss room itself, which is right beside the Rockrest Flats. Moving back to an armor for a moment then, there are a few missable pieces tied to the secret area and NPC questline for Chapter 2. Near the Rockrest Flat Shrine once again, straight ahead of this, a bit of a distance behind a spearbone, is a breakable fence with an open clearing behind it that has a drunken boar NPC. Talk to him and he'll tell you that he needs to sober up, and you can do this with a sobering stone. The easiest way to get this is from the Windrest Bridge Shrine. Cross the bridge and turn left up some stairs, take a right up some more stairs, then in the back left corner of this area, in a hole within a wooden wall, you will find a glowing vase. Break it open and you will get the sobering stone. I don't get it in this footage because I already have one, because you can actually get another one, but the other way requires a separate NPC quest and actually buying it from them rather than this one, which you get for free. So bring this to the boar once you have it and he will say he's hungry, so he moves to the Crouching Tiger Temple entrance shrine looking for meat. Just up these stairs from the shrine and to the right of the boss room itself you can find him, and if you talk to him here he will ask you for a Jade Lotus flower, which is a relatively common flower that you can find in ponds and you probably already have some. Give him one of these and he will return to the clearing that he was at before near Rockrest Flats. Visit him, and if you killed the first Prince of Flowing Sands, the boss that we mentioned earlier, the boss outside the long scale room, you will have the Arhat piece of gold, and having that on you will actually anger the boar at this stage of his quest, who will then become an optional boss himself. But if you defeat him, he will drop the Snout Mask Helmet unique actual mask directly into your inventory. For a short duration after using your gourd with this equipped, your attack will go up a moderate amount. However, conversely, if you go a long time without drinking from your gourd, it will lower your attack the same amount. Essentially, this is somewhat risky. Using your gourd counts as a damage boost with this on, but if a fight goes long enough that you run out of gourd charges, your damage will just start to go down as a result. Against easier bosses or in high damage setups with a free helmet slot, this definitely has some potential use though, and it has synergy with a bunch of the soaks that can boost different abilities right after drinking a gourd. As well, after defeating him, he will open the entrance to the secret area of Chapter 2, which has 2 further secret bosses along a quite clear main path that I won't tell you how to get to, so again, I'll just refrain from unnecessary spoilers. Defeat the main boss in here though, and you will unlock a new armor set for crafting, the Insect set. However, you only unlock 3 out of the 4 pieces in here, because the chest piece of the Insect set is related to a secret boss in Chapter 4. That said, the set bonuses for this armor are large focus gain on medicine use for the 2 set, and moderate duration increase on all medicine effects for the 4 set. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.